Let's bring it back to the basics and start from the beginning. From the minute babies are born, gender plays a life-consuming role. In many homes across the globe, boys are dressed in pastel blues while girls wear soft pinks. Boys are raised to typically play with masculine trucks, games of battle, and nurture a love for sports. On the other hand, girls are raised to play with dolls, play games of house, and often dig through their mother's makeup bags and closets to play makeover and dress up. Once introduced, the Barbie doll played a major role in the childhood of many girls. Inventor Ruth Handler and the company she founded, Mattel, introduced Barbie, the teenage fashion model, at the annual Toy Fair in New York on March 9, 1959, essentially starting the beginning of all Barbie would do to socially change the world. Throughout time, Barbie has reached many young lives as she has evolved in her appearance and outlooks of the quote-unquote female ideal. As a respectable international icon, Barbie has contributed to culture, women empowerment, and self-confidence while displaying new and progressive ideals generation to generation. So, why is Barbie a form of mass media? Barbie not only revolutionized the doll industry when she was introduced to the world in 1959, but she changed the way girls would think of their gender. As the author of Forever Barbie thinks back to when she bought her first Barbie when it was introduced, Barbie was a revelation. She didn't teach us to nurture, she taught us independence. Let's see what some people have to say about Barbie. What comes to mind when you think of Barbie?
Okay, so what do I think of when I think of Barbie? Well, I suppose I think of my childhood. I had a massive box full of Barbie dolls when I was little, and I loved them. I wouldn't go anywhere without them.
Femininity, glam.
How has Barbie impacted your life?
She's impacted my life because it was one of my favourite toys. After Barbie, I moved on to Lego, but Barbie was always my favourite toy of all time. And it was a big point of my childhood because all my friends had sort of similar Barbies. We'd always get together and play with them.
Heaps. When I was younger, I always wanted a Barbie, but my parents weren't really big on it, and so I never really had one. But so it's sort of now I'm I know it's an unrealistic body type and all that sort of thing, but I guess it was sort of an ideal as a kid.
Would you say that she influences girls all over the world?
Yeah, potentially. I know there's a lot of controversy around Barbie having very unhealthy standards and expectations, putting that upon young girls. But personally, I don't think that I was really that sort of influenced in that way by Barbie. I just personally wouldn't really compare myself to a Barbie doll, but I know that a lot of girls across the world do compare themselves to it, so it's potentially causing problems.
Girls who have Barbies growing up, it does influence the way they see themselves and other women.
On a grand scale, Barbie has and continues to shape female role ideology. With time, the doll has evolved to becoming a symbol for women empowerment. She portrays many female possibilities and has evolved to inspire many young girls to feel confident in controlling their lives. Barbie has promoted this strength for girls to cater to whatever dreams they imagine. This leads her to have an expansive reach among the developing mindset of the female community, for both generations of the past and present. Barbie is also iconic to the world of fashion. High fashion, known to be out of reach for everyday girls in the past, suddenly changed with the Barbie doll. The fashion doll with clothes sold separately allowed young girls' imaginations to run fashionably wild. It was not the doll alone that girls loved, but just as Barbie's creator Ruth had hoped, everyone wanted to dress and undress Barbie, collect her clothes, her shoes, and her accessories. With the incorporation of popular fashions of every time period Barbie is in, the doll is able to connect the fashion industry to the youth of every generation, creating an interest in existing fashion that persists beyond childhood and into adulthood as a lifestyle. Many of the designed garments have been inspired by top designers that include Dior, Saint Laurent, and Givenchy, along with many others. This form of mass media is genius. It not only reaches a large audience at a specific period in time, but it also encapsulates time and what it represents in the form of a doll, bringing me to my next point. As an international icon, over time, Barbie has impacted and affected many cultures. In many different ways, her body, her fashion, and her persona all play individually influential roles. Although some may believe that the Barbie doll stands for greatness, some may disagree. Thinking back to my childhood in the late 1990s and early 2000s, as much as I loved playing with my Barbie dolls, like many parents, the doll arose some concerns. For me, the only concern that ever bothered my parents was the fact that the Barbie did not look like me racially. Obviously, the original Barbie doesn't reflect all girls. Girls come in many shapes, sizes, and shades. With a developing mind as a young girl, my parents wanted me to be able to relate to the doll and not wish that I was something that I was not. Growing up, most Barbies were white. Even though I owned many white Barbies, my parents tried to get me more black Barbies. The problem with this was that I'm biracial, so I am neither black nor white. I am an in-between. I never understood this concern my parents had because personally I didn't feel that I identified with one in particular. As society becomes more and more diverse, I know there are many others that face this same dilemma. In recent past years, an American actress known as Zendaya spoke and took initiative towards this issue, as she too is a biracial female who faced the same issue as a child of my generation. She used her influence to voice a change. When a Barbie doll prototype of herself was released, she spoke, "When I was little, I couldn't find a Barbie that looked like me. My, how times have changed. Thank you, Barbie, for this honor and for allowing me to be part of your diversification and expansion of the definition of beauty." This recent event exemplifies how Barbie is taking a part in the diversification of society. Another concern that many parents have had issues with pertains to the body image of the doll and how it affects young girls. With her long legs, tiny waist, and large breasts, Barbie may seem to be the envy of many, regardless of how unrealistic she is. However, everyone is different, and this ideal perfection is understood in many different ways. Over the last 10 years, self-image and how media affects it has become a passionate topic of interest for many. Today's media floods us with images of skinny females in tight miniskirts and low-cut shirts, and the queen of these stereotypes is Barbie. There are many who disagree with the way that females are portrayed in media for reasons that lead to insecurity. However, reacting to Barbie, setting her up as an ultimate negative example, can be just as damaging as positioning her as an ideal. As a complete combination taken literally inch for inch in ratios, Barbie is an unrealistic find. However, she's compiled of many different traits that many people actually do have. There are plenty who are naturally thin, plenty who are tall, plenty who have small waists, and plenty who have other traits that she represents. Although Barbie is just a doll, she does hold immense influence when it comes to body positivity, which has been recently addressed, as you'll learn about more later. Barbie may be an international icon, but she has attained this for reasons beyond her physical body. While affecting culture in her many ways, over time, Barbie has also evolved. Her fashion has evolved, her figure has evolved, and her icon has evolved, and this is something I first-handedly got to examine. While wandering through the streets of Rome, Italy, I came across a Barbie museum. Inside, thousands of dolls were lined up. They each represented a different time period in order from oldest, starting with the 1959 models, to most recent, ending with the most recent line of petite and curvy Barbies. Looking at the grand display was almost like looking through history. Each Barbie encapsulated their time and represented the different outlooks on women with different fashions and hairstyles that expressed the time they were released in. As I moved along, every generation after the first was drastically different, correlating with the real world. The 1960s, 70s, and 80s were all captured picture perfectly as she displayed the fashion and hairstyles of times that I've only been taught from a textbook. Then I came around to the Barbies that looked familiar to me from the 90s, as they were the models I used to play with as a child. These dolls portrayed beyond new fashion as they promoted careers, sports, and more among the ideal female figure. As I moved along towards the end of the timeline of dolls, where the most current models stood, there were some unfamiliar dolls that I have never seen before. The most recent dolls were part of a new tall, petite, and curvy model line of Barbies. Beyond that, there was also a new diverse line that had a doll to represent every country's culture. Over the entire 57-year span of the Barbies displayed in the exhibit, the dolls have shown to grow more diverse in race, size, and stand for new evolving ideals. As time progresses, more races, body types, as well as changing lifestyles have been incorporated into the Barbie dolls and continue to do so today. The iconic doll continues to evolve with society as it changes, acting as a time capsule for ideals throughout time. Wrapping it up, Barbie has grown to become an international icon. She has displayed new ideals that have progressed the female world and contributed to the culture of today. Barbie is arguably the most famous doll in the world. She has stepped into the always fashionable shoes of more than 127 careers and has represented the fact that a woman has choices. Over time, I have no doubt that Barbie will continue to progress and become more and more relatable, inspiring more and more girls. The power that this plastic doll has gained comes from the success it has, and with this, Barbie's influence as an icon has come from the respect she has gained. She does not only have one ideal as she may have once had, but now represents all girls of different types as an ideal. In the future, Barbie will surely continue to advance as society does, and will do nothing but change as we the people do. If Barbie wasn't a form of mass media as an icon, how do you think she has been able to influence the minds of so many? Food for thought, because when it comes down to it, all we are talking about here is a bit of curved plastic who has managed to achieve icon status by decades of clever marketing.